All right, hey guys, I'm back with a an update here, a full performance review on the JCrossover 2, and also a lot of other thoughts that I wanted to discuss in this video. I'm really determined to try to keep these videos shorter because I know the length, 10, 12 minutes, it's just me talking the whole time, and all you guys get to see is the shoe, and I'm not really good at the graphics and video editing, so like that's basically the format here. But I also have a lot of things that I want to say, so it's kind of hard to balance those two things out there. But yeah, I'll try to keep it short and brief in terms of the review. So first thing is Nightwing did a nice comparison between this shoe and the Jordan 29. I'll put the link in the description box. It's a very appropriate comparison, and they both have that primarily knit uppers. So I would suggest that you watch that, and there's some good information there. One thing about that, just going off on a tangent here, this is not about Nightwing, but this is the kind of like all reviewers, right? We have to be very careful in interpreting statements like one shoe is better than another shoe, because that word is very tricky. When we say better, I don't really know how you can measure that, especially when it's just like a simple blanket statement and all you get is, oh, this one's better, that's why I like it. Well, what does that really mean, right? A lot of times, too frequently really, people confuse the term better with what they prefer or what their favorite is. Okay, so we have to interpret that very carefully. You can measure things like weight. You can say this shoe is lighter than another, or durability, right? I've played 50 games in this one and 50 games in this one, and shoe A looks a lot better right now, so it's more durable. Or I have to wipe the bottoms less frequently on this model, so I could say traction is better, right? You can measure those things, they're quantifiable. But just to hear that term better thrown around, it's, what are you really getting from that? So a lot of times what people are really saying is it's their favorite or it's their preference. Doesn't necessarily make it better, right? It's kind of like food. Like food, you won't know if you like it until you try it, okay? And, another example, like I have disliked shoes that other reviewers really, really liked. The 28 SE, I thought it was uncomfortable for me. The carbon clip at the forefoot really, really irritated me. I felt disconnected from the ground, and traction to me where I play was average, to be honest. And I know that a lot of people said that was one of the strongest parts of the shoe. So it's just you won't know how you will like it until you actually try it. So be careful in interpreting statements like that. In terms of the 29 versus the JCrossover 2, I pretty much agree with what Nightwing was saying. His main point was that 29 retails for 225, and the JCrossover 2 is obviously 140. So that's a pretty big difference there. I didn't pay 225 for the 29, and I would never pay that much for a shoe. And I wouldn't tell anybody to pay that much unless you guys are like really, really rich or whatever it is. But just keep your eyes out for deals and stuff. And if you put a lot of time and energy into it, you can find deals. And just be patient. You'll be able to find shoes for much less than retail. Recently, these were available on Jack Threads, I think, with a 30% off code for like under $100, right? And there are 3 more colorways of this coming, I guess Monday. The all black, which look really, really good, and then there's an all maroon pair, which also looks really good, and then an all gray pair. So keep your eyes out for those as well. Another thing, if you're watching this video, chances are you're watching other videos, right? Other reviewers. And I think that's a really wise way to, just inform yourself, right? And develop an informed opinion and get a lot of information from various sources, okay? Don't just watch 1 or 2 reviewers, but watch a bunch of them and read what people are writing and see what people are saying, okay? It's kind of like science, where the bigger your sample size, the more accurate your results are going to be. So I think it's better to get a general consensus just from watching a bunch of different sources, not just 1 or 2 people, right? And that'll give you a more, informed opinion because you're looking at so many different people, right? Okay, so let's get into the shoe itself. This is their second signature shoe, and just to put things in perspective, it's man, I'm really, really impressed by that, okay, by this shoe and how good it is, for how young the company is, right? If it's being mentioned with the 29, Jordan brand, with their history and connection with Nike, their resources and facilities, and the 29th signature shoe, they've done shoes for Chris Paul and Carmelo Anthony and all the team models, right? The fact that it's being mentioned with the 29 is really really astounding to me. Like I can't say enough about that. It's their second entry into the market in terms of signature shoes, and it's already being mentioned with the 29. So that says a lot. Okay. Now, I personally, if we're talking about those two shoes, I personally prefer the 29, but I wouldn't say that it's better. Okay, I just prefer the 29 over this shoe, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with this shoe, and I would highly recommend it if you're thinking about purchasing it. It's a very nice and interesting shoe to play in. Okay, so let's talk about it in just as briefly as we can here, right? Traction is really good. I don't have to wipe the bottoms as frequently as I do in, say, the Curry one or the Clutch Fit Drive. And they squeak like crazy if that matters to you. It doesn't really matter to me. But in terms of gripping the hardwood, yes, they are very good in the traction department. And then moving on, you have that Jetlon cushioning, that full-length Jetlon, which, man, it's hard to describe this cushioning. It's if we're talking about foam cushionings, I would say it's a bit softer than Micro G. It reminds me of old Adiprene, like back in the T-Mac days, but more responsive and bouncy. And a lot of people refer to that Adiprene as like mushy, which it was, right? But this is it has that soft feeling, but it's much more responsive and bouncy than that old Adiprene. I would say it's a bit softer than Micro G overall. So I prefer Micro G, but again, when we use a term like better, a lot of people are going to say, well, which one's better, Jetlon or Micro G? And again, I don't think it's a question of better. It's just a question of which one do you prefer? Because I don't know how you could say one foam cushioning is better than the other, and I don't know how you could support that argument. Okay, but I know a lot of people would have their preferences, right? So I personally prefer Micro G, but I could see a lot of people, and I've read people saying that they like Jetlon more than Micro G, and I can't dispute that. I can't disagree with that. It feels very good underfoot, okay? And if we're talking about casual use, I would probably go with Jetlon over Micro G, strictly for casual use. So it's just a great shoe overall. Going to the upper, you have plenty of ventilation with the perforations in the midfoot there, in the upper. It's all mesh, right? And then perforations in the tongue. There's a bit of a break-in period, very, very brief. Maybe for me, it was like 3 or 4 games, really just the first wear. And the only noticeable difference before and after is really this upper. The first couple of games, I think when I laced them up, it looked like that. And then the second wear until this point, now I can tie them tighter and the upper looks more like that. So there's a bit of a break-in period there and the materials will stretch slightly. In terms of sizing, I went with my smaller size. So I'm a 9.5 and 10 and everything, and I went with a 9.5 in these, and they're pretty good for me. If you're between sizes, I would really recommend you go with your smaller size. Otherwise, you just got to try them on. I know some people have said the toe box is roomy. A lot of people have said it's kind of roomy. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But I know some people said true to size is fine as well. So that's just my opinion on the sizing there. Yeah, they're comfortable overall. There's no chafing. There's just no issues. This is one of those shoes like the Clutch Fit Drive and the Curry one and the 29, where you just kind of forget about it. And that to me is really what you want in a piece of equipment is you don't want to think about it, right? If you are playing in something, this is any sport and any equipment, and something's wrong, the fit is not right, it's uncomfortable, whatever it is, your attention is going to be divided between the game and the equipment, and that's the last thing that you want. You don't want to worry about the equipment failing you in any way or distracting you. You want it to just work with you so that your attention can be fully devoted to the moment, right? So you can make the right play. And in terms of basketball, you gotta set the screen and box out and grab the rebound and all these things that you have to worry about in the moment when you're playing a game. So if you throw in another thing like the equipment, right, the traction is not good or it's uncomfortable or it's chafing or whatever, that's something else that's going to distract you and take away from your focus on the game, which is what do you want to avoid. So I think we're in a pretty good era of shoes that fit that category where there's absolutely no issues with them. And I can't think of another time when we had this many shoes that were this good and that were so readily available. I really can't think of another era that was like this. So it's a pretty amazing time to be a recreational basketball player, in my opinion. So that kind of covers the overall performance there. One thing I would say is transition. I don't feel quite as fast in these as I do in, say, the Clutch Fit Drive or the 29. That could be completely in my head. That could be maybe it has to do with the workouts that I was doing that day. I typically lift weights before, so maybe that was it. But I just, for whatever reason, I don't feel quite as fast in these as I do in the other shoes that I mentioned there. But that could just be me. In terms of changes that I would make, I know I said there's nothing wrong with them, but personal preference, what I would have liked to have seen for myself, and these things don't take away from the playability of the shoe at all. So, this is just my personal preference. I would have liked to see the outsole here just round up a little bit higher in the ball of the foot area, similar to the Kyrie 1. Other shoes are doing that now where that outsole just rounds up over here. I would have liked to have seen that. Maybe an additional layer of protection in the toe box there. There is a little piece of plastic in there that helps, but man, when people step on your foot, you're gonna feel it in these, and the 29 shoes like that. It's mesh, right? So you're gonna feel that. Whatever this material is, maybe if they just put a layer of that right there, it would have been a nice touch. And then the fit at the Achilles, for me personally, I would have liked to have seen this area be a little bit lower, or maybe use a softer mesh material there. I only notice that when I'm sitting down. So when you're playing and standing up, you don't notice it at all. But when I'm sitting down, between games, breaks or whatever it is, this area digs into my Achilles. So a little bit. But I'm kind of nitpicking here, right? Like again, it's fine for how it is, and there are really no issues at all. Those are just personal things that I'd like to see for me. So that covers the review. You guys have any questions or comments about the shoe, please leave them below, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. There were a couple of comments that for whatever reason I couldn't reply to, like there was no reply button. So I actually removed one of them. It was a bit of constructive criticism, which I don't mind, but I couldn't reply to it. So I felt like, that wasn't really like a fair game, I guess, whatever you want to call it. But to that person, if you want to post that comment in a way that I can respond to it, I'd be glad to leave it up there. We could have a conversation online, no problems there. But that's the reason why I removed that comment to whoever that person was. Yeah, just to explain that. For some reason, I can't reply to some of these comments, and that's the reason why I'm not replying, right? There's no reply button. Also, upcoming videos, expect a couple of things, I guess. One thing would be a giveaway video. I don't know why, but I have 100 subscribers now. I know it's not a lot in terms of the big picture, but to me it is, because all I do is just point the phone at the shoes and talk for a long time. So to see that 100 people subscribed is like really, every time somebody subscribes, I'm always telling my friends and family like, oh, I got another subscriber. I don't know what's going on here. So it's kind of a good feeling. It's rewarding, obviously. And I wanted to mark that occasion with some kind of giveaway, maybe like a new pair of Elite socks or something like that. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not really new to all of that stuff, so I'm not sure how that's going to work, but I'll do something. Probably a rotation video just to show you guys what I'm currently playing in. And then people want to post their rotations. I'd love to see that because I like seeing what people are playing in and hearing their opinions on shoes. And then hopefully one of these days I'll get a chance to have somebody record me playing, just so you guys know I'm not like a complete bum and I actually play in these shoes. Just to be real with you guys, like you can see by my format, I'm not really in this to make money or get a bunch of views. All I do is point my cell phone camcorder at the shoe and just talk, right? So, I'm not, like I said, I'm not good at the editing and formatting and all that. It's more to contribute to the information, the community, and because I learned a lot from reviews going all the way back to like Professor K, if you guys know who that is. If you don't know who he is, I feel really old because that was like 10 years ago. Yeah, I think. So I just want to contribute to that cycle of information. That's pretty much the purpose of these videos. And so, hopefully you guys will interpret that as me being honest. Like if I'm being honest with how I play, just to tell you now, I miss a ton of layups. I'm kind of famous for that, whether it's wide open or I'm being guarded. People make fun of me for it. But I also make a ton of layups, because I'm on the fast break a lot, and I just try to like release as soon as possible. So people usually pick me up on their team. They want me on their team when I go to the gym, and people know me. But again, just being real with you guys, like I miss a ton of layups, and people say that I'm fast. I've heard that a lot. People say that I run a lot, and sometimes I feel like that. And then other times when I'm on defense, the quick guys, they'll just blow by me whenever they want. So, I'm giving you guys a realistic picture here of what it's like when I play. Hopefully, I'll get somebody to record me, and then I'll post the video up so you guys can see. All right. Again, any questions or comments or suggestions, please leave them below, and I'll get back to you. Thank you guys for watching, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks. Bye.